The world runs on oil, silently, continuously, and without question, until that flow is threatened.
There is one passage, narrow, exposed, and unavoidable, where the world's energy must pass.
Every ship that enters this corridor carries more than oil. It carries the weight of global stability. The first signs are never loud. They appear as small disruptions, easily ignored.
Markets move before facts, because fear travels faster than confirmation ever will.
Out at sea, hesitation begins, and in this system, hesitation is the first sign of collapse.
One signal becomes many, and within seconds, uncertainty transforms into uncontrollable movement. What begins as hesitation becomes delay, and delay is where systems begin to break.
Risk is priced before reality, and when risk disappears, movement disappears with it.
Without insurance, ships do not move, and without movement, supply becomes meaningless.
When supply tightens, price does not adjust slowly. It reacts violently and without warning.
What begins in markets ends at the pump, where numbers become reality for millions.
Refineries depend on consistency, and without it, the entire chain begins to fracture.
When energy becomes expensive, demand does not disappear. It begins to retreat.
Central banks are designed for control, but not when the system itself is unstable.
When markets fail, governments step in, not to solve the problem, but to slow it down.
The reserve was never meant for comfort. It exists for moments when systems begin to fail.
The system stabilizes, not because it is fixed, but because it is given time.
Stability returns, but only on the surface, because the foundation remains unchanged.
The route is open again, but nothing about it feels safe.
Markets begin to believe the worst is over, and that belief becomes their next mistake.
And then it happens again. Faster, sharper, and far less predictable than before.
U.S. production has surged, and the urgency is clear.
Global expectations are higher than ever as we look to the U.S.
America produces more oil than ever, but production is not instant, and time is not on its side.
Oil is not just produced, it must move, and movement is where pressure builds.
Energy is not just supply, it is influence, and influence is now being exercised.
The market adjusts, not because the problem is solved, but because a new force has entered the system.
Production increases, but not fast enough to replace what the system has already lost.
What markets absorb in seconds, people absorb over weeks, and the impact is far more personal.
When energy becomes expensive, demand does not disappear. It quietly begins to retreat.
When energy becomes political, pressure moves from markets to leaders.
Markets are no longer reacting to events. They are reacting to uncertainty itself.
To fight inflation is to slow the economy, but to do nothing is to let it break.
When uncertainty rises, Capital does not disappear. It moves, quickly and without hesitation.
Prices stabilize briefly, but stability without confidence is only temporary. The system continues to function, but not because it is strong, only because it has not failed yet.
No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
Pressure moves quickly
Threat from the streets
to the people in power.
When conflict reaches its peak, conversations begin in places no one can see.
Information becomes a weapon, and truth becomes harder to find.
It's crashing! Sell everything now!
We demand justice. We will not be silenced.
If the oil stops, the system collapses.
A signal appears, quiet, uncertain, but enough to change everything.
Markets do not wait for truth. They move on possibility.
What rises in fear can fall just as quickly, but not always for the right reasons.
In the end, it is not the event that breaks the system. It is the loss of trust.
When fuel becomes unpredictable, movement becomes a calculated risk. Factories do not stop suddenly. They slow down until stopping becomes inevitable.
Economic growth does not disappear. It fades under pressure. High prices solve one problem by creating another.
The system begins to balance again, not because it is stable, but because it has adjusted.
Prices settle, but what they reflect is not confidence, only temporary acceptance.
Flow returns, but not to what it once was.
What appears stable is often just the system learning to live with its own weakness.
The crisis was never the problem. It only revealed what was already there.
The world does not run on oil. It runs on the ability to move it.
There was never a shortage of oil, only a shortage of certainty. Energy is not just a resource, it is leverage, and leverage defines power.
Modern civilization feels strong until one fragile system reminds it how dependent it truly is.
The system did not collapse, and that is what makes it more dangerous.
The damage is no longer visible, but it has already changed the system.
What we witnessed was not failure. It was a warning.
A single narrow passage still holds the weight of the entire system.
The system continues, exactly as it was before.
Modern civilization is not built on strength, but on continuous flow. And flow can be interrupted.
The question is not if it will happen again, but when. Because in the end, everything still passes through here.